Let's go ahead and look at our next lesson, which includes the Hindu-Arabic numeration system. Now, the Hindu-Arabic numeration system is a number system that we use today. Some of the terms we're going to be looking at in this lesson are numeration system, numeral, number, digit, decimal place value system, base 10, place value, and the Hindu-Arabic numeration system. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our notebook to the next available page. Let's go ahead and include our page number. And always remember to include today's date, the date that you're watching the video. Remember that your page number is going to be different than mine, depending on whether you write larger or smaller, it doesn't matter. Okay, so today's lesson has to do with the Hindu-Arabic numeration system. Hindu-Arabic numeration system. Hindu-Arabic numeration system. Let's go ahead and look at a couple of vocabulary terms. Let's begin with numeration system. A numeration system is a system that includes symbols and properties. So let's go ahead and look at a numeration. A numeration is a system of symbols used to represent numbers. Ours happen to be the Hindu-Arabic. Perhaps you heard of Roman numerals. The Mayans had their own number system. So every system throughout history has used a different system, and ours happens to be the Hindu-Arabic. So let's go ahead and write that down. So the numeration system is a system of symbols used to represent numbers. Now, a numeration system includes properties. Properties and rules. So there are such properties as the commutative property, additive property, the distributive property from college algebra. And so we'll go over our properties later. So a numeration system has symbols and properties. So let's look at the definition. What is a numeral? Okay, so a numeral is a symbol. A numeral, it is a symbol used to represent a number. So here is the numeral 5. The numeral. Okay. So a numeral is a symbol or group of symbols, right? If you have like 13, it has a 1 and a 3. So a symbol or group of symbols that represents a number. Okay, so for example, this symbol right here represents our number 5 in the Hindu-Arabic numeration system. Perhaps you remember the symbol V for the Roman numeral system. And so these are symbols that represent a number. Okay. Okay, so then what's the difference between a numeral and a number? When we're looking at a number, it says here, how many things? A measure of quantity. So a numeral is the symbol. and you tell the students you go sideways, down. Remember when they used to trace and they would put the dots and the students would have to trace the numerals. But whenever you're referring to how many, or if you're actually counting, then that is a number. So a number tells you how many. Tells you how many. It's a measure of quantity. A measure of quantity. Okay. You are counting. I have 5 apples. And so I am counting 5 apples. So we have numeration system, numeral, and number. So let's repeat that one more time. So the numeral is the symbol, the shape. You're tracing, you're learning how to draw your numerals, right? Here's a numeral, Roman numeral 5, and this is the 5, the symbol that we use to represent 5 in the Hindu Arabic numeration system. A number 5, so in a number you're actually counting. Okay, then what about a digit? What's the difference there? So our numeration system has 10 digits. Now notice how weird they say here, the numerals 0 to 9 are called digits, and they are used to make other numbers. Okay, so the numerals 0 to 9 are called digits. Remember, when you put 2 digits together, you'll say a 2-digit number or a 3-digit number. Our system has 10 digits. Remember, we're counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. Now, the Hindu Arabic numeration system is also called the decimal or the base 10 system. So let's write that down. What do they mean when they say decimal or base 10 system? Our decimal number system is the base 10 system. It is based in groups of 10. So our system is based in groups of 10. Is based on groups of 10. So let's go ahead and look at a little chart here. We have ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So if we're looking at base 10, we know that 10 to the 0 power is 1. We learned that in college algebra. We will not teach that to our elementary students. We just tell them 1. Then we have 10 to the first power, which is 10. We have 10 to the second power, which is 10 times 10, or 100. And then 10 to the third power, which is 1,000. So our base 10 system is based on groups of 10. If I multiply 1 times 10, I get 10. 10 times 10, 100. Times 10, 1,000. So as we're going across, we are multiplying by 10. Okay, so let's summarize. And let's look at the key features of the Hindu Arabic numeration system. So the Hindu-Arabic numeration system has 10 digits. The digits starting with 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we combine those digits together to make numbers. Our number system has place value, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and so on. It is also referred to the base 10 system because everything is in groups of 10. Our number system uses the 0 as a placeholder. And then our number system is additive and multiplicative. And we will go through some examples of each one of these in a second. Additive and multiplicative. To determine the value of a numeral, which is expanded form, and I'll explain that. Okay, so let's start with number 1. We said there were 10 digits. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Number 2, place value. Let's look at the definition of place value. Now, place value, the position of a digit determines its value. So let's highlight that word position. Okay, so for example, if I have the numeral 22, this 2 is 2 ones, right? You have 2 ones. If I look at this 2, then I have hundreds. So which 2, if I were to say, I'm going to give you some money, which 2? I said, well, I want 2 tens. Heck, I want more 2s over here. Give me 2,000. So every digit is different depending on its position. This is a ones, so I have 2 ones, and this one is 2 tens. So I've got 2 tens and 2 ones. How do I know? What's the difference? This one is in my ones position, followed by my tens, hundreds. Remember, we talked about our place value. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So where you put a number makes a big difference. If I have this digit, then that 2 represents 2 hundreds. So the position of a digit determines its value. Okay. So the question is then, is 43 the same as 34? No. Well, you say, well, they both have a 4 and they both have a 3, but absolutely not, because this is 4 tens and 3 ones. This one is 3 tens and 4 ones. Very different. So if you switch the digits around, it makes a totally different value and makes a different number. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's look at point number 3. What do we mean by base 10 system? So we said our numeration system is also referred to base 10 system because we have groups of 10. So our grouping system is in groups of 10. For example, we know that 10 tens is equal to 100. We know that 10 ones is equal to 110. Okay, so let's go back over here where we talked about that. Every time I move to the left, we are multiplying by 10. Every time I move to the left, we are multiplying by 10. 1 times 10 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. So let's write that down over here. So we could write it. Yeah, I don't have room here. Let's go ahead and write it right here. Each place value is 10 times the value of the place to the left. Oh, I'm sorry, to its right. To its right. Yeah. So every time it was times 10. Okay, place value chart. Okay, go back to number 4. Our number system uses 0. So we use 0 as a placeholder. Okay, so for example, if I have 6,800, if I remove those zeros, then it becomes a 68. I need those 2 zeros because here's my place value chart. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So I need something here. This is my thousands. This is my hundreds. I need something here to fill in that space. That's why it's called a placeholder. Okay. Number 5. We also have our property is additive, has the additive property, and multiplicative property, and I'll explain those. Okay, so for example, let's look at the number 6,703. Okay, if I expand that, so let's look at expanded notation. In expanded notation, looking at my place value chart, that would be 6,700, no tens, and 3 ones. Okay, so that is additive. I am allowed to add their place values to get the sum. The sum becomes that value, 6,700, no tens, 0 tens, and 3 ones. If I want to bring in the multiplicative, I know that I have 6,000s, 700s, 0 tens, and 3 ones. Additive, multiplicative. It's just different ways to represent the same number. Okay, so that's our summary. We've been kind of repeating them over and over just to help us here. Let's go ahead and maybe highlight here. Use a different color. The key features of the Hindu-Arabic numeration system. This is something that's very important. That will be one of our essay questions. And then we'll have to go through and explain. Our numeration system has 10 digits, 0 through 9. Place value, which is the position of a digit, determines its value, ones, tens, hundreds, or thousands. Our system is also known as a base 10 system, which is groups of tens. ones, tens, tens is 10 ones, hundreds, right, as you're multiplying across. Our numeration system uses 0 as a placeholder. And in our numeration system, we're able to use expanded notation using addition and multiplication. We use expanded notation. Let's write that down in a sentence. We use expanded notation. Our system expanded notation using addition. That's one method. And another method, and then you could use this example right in here, and multiplication using this example right here. Okay, so we should be able to write down the important attributes of the Hindu-Arabic numeration system. Okay, how many can you do without looking? So I'm going to go to the back of my notebook under my reflections. Let me go back there. Let's see. Okay, so here's my notebook. I'm going to open up upside down toward the back, and I'm going to go to my reflections, and I am going to write this one down. So let's go ahead and put today's date, whatever date you're watching the video, and we want to list the important attribute of the Hindu-Arabic numeration system. And we said there were 5. Okay, give you a second to think about that. Ready? Okay. We know we have 10 digits. Our system has place value, that every digit has a different value depending on its position. Our system is also called base 10, which is groups of 10. And every time you move to the left, you multiply by 10. Then we have 0 as a placeholder, and our system is additive and multiplicative. Okay, so in the back of our notebook, under reflections at the next available, you just skip one line and continue going. You put today's date, and then we list the 5 important topics. Okay, just kind of getting you used to copying it over and over. Let's continue with our lesson. Let's go ahead and continue with our lesson, and let's look at the different ways to represent numbers. We're going to learn or review standard form, word form, place value form using the place value chart, expanded form, expanded notation, and the use of base 10 blocks. Let's go ahead and write this list down in our notebook. Okay, so this is the different ways or multiple representations Okay, so we have standard form, word form, we're going to use the place value chart. There's expanded form, exponential notation, and base 10 blocks. Okay, so let's look at each one of these. Okay, so let's go ahead and write the number 1456. Using each one of these. Okay. Now the first one is standard form. This is standard form. So standard form is just good old-fashioned numbers. Notice that we do use a comma to separate the different periods. Remember, it's 1, 2, 3, comma. So this is the period. 1, 2, 3, comma. And so those are the different periods. So we do have a comma to separate the different periods. It's 1, 2, 3, comma. So we have the ones period, the thousands period, and then the millions period. Okay. Let's look at word form. So when you're looking at word form, that means you're going to spell these out. And notice that when you have to hyphenate. Okay, so let's go ahead and spell this number out. This is 1,450-6. Remember, when you're spelling these numbers out, a double-digit number like starting with 21 all the way to 99, you have to hyphenate. 35 hyphen, 46, 56. Any two digits, you have to put a hyphen. And yes, we have to put a hyphen or points will be deducted. Okay. Let's look at the place value chart. We should probably have done that first. So this one we have to have 4 columns. We may want to do one extra, so let's see here. 1, 2, 3, so we're not crowded. Here we go. So we have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. One, 4, 5, 6. So 1,000, 4 hundreds, 5 tens, and 6 ones. So here's my place value chart. Let's look at expanded form. Now, in expanded form, we should use our place value chart. Okay, so it's 1,456. If I continue to the next level, then it would be in multiplicative 1 times 1,000, 4 times 100, 5 times 10, and 6 times 1. Additive and multiplicative expanded form. In exponential notation, we write expanded form using exponents. Now, let's go ahead and put our exponents right here. Now, remember, we start off with 10 to the 0 power, 10 to the first power, 10 to the second power, and 10 to the third power. Normally, in elementary, we do not write 10 to the 0 power, we put 1 instead. So let's go ahead and write a note that 10 to the 0 power is equal to 1. So, in exponential notation, it is going to be 1 times 10 to the third power plus 4 times 10 to the second power plus 5 times 10 to the first power, and I don't need the little 1, I can remove it, plus, and instead of putting 10 to the 0, I'm going to put 6 times 1. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at the base 10 blocks. We will be looking at base 10 blocks in the next, at the end of the lesson, but let's just do a quick sketch writing here. In the thousands, we use a cube. So it's going to be 1 cube hundreds is represented by a flat or a rectangle, so we're going to draw 4 flats. The tens is represented by rods, which is represented by a long rectangle, a thin, and there's 5 of them. And then our units are our teeny little units. So this is our flat, which represents our 100s, our rod, which represents our tens, and our unit, which represents our ones. So in this example, we have 1 cube, which I don't have in front of me, but cube, like a Rubik's Cube, 4 flats, which is represented by the large square. Then we have 5 rods, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have 6 units. Okay, we briefly talked about reading and writing numerals, so let's go ahead and look at our rules for that. The names for the numbers from 21 through 99 are hyphenated. 47. So we may want to just write a little note somewhere. You can go to the previous page, or I'll just make me a note here that the names from 21 through 99 are hyphenated. So let's just write a quick note here. We hyphenate, how would we spell that? We hyphenate the number words, the names of the numbers from 21 to 99, the double digits, except, of course, like 20, 30, 40, and so on. So an example would be 47. Notice how we spell 40, and it has to have the hyphen. If you want to see a list, double check your spelling, practice writing down any words that you may not remember. 8, E-I-G-H-T. 40 is F-O-R-T-Y, and so on. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice. Let's look at this number. Okay. Now, in cases like this, we may want to use a place value chart. We are going to create a place value chart to help us to read and write some numerals. So if I were to write this out, let's see. Starting, maybe I could start here on the back. 0, 2. Okay, here we go. Remember, every period there is a comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. So by using my place value chart, I see that this is 2,015,325. Okay, let's spell that out. So this is 2,015,320-5. Make sure to put the hyphen here. Nowhere do we use the word and. No matter how tempted we are, we never use the word and. So let's go ahead and write that down. How about 604? So this would be 604. Some people say 604. That's wrong. 604. That's wrong. It's 604. Okay, let's try one more. Okay, again, I can use my place value chart. So this would be ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. So this would be 700,000, 700. 1,000 is the period. Two. No and. It's right. You just want to say it. It wants to come out of my mouth. 700,000. 7. It's 700,000. That's this part right here with a comma. 700,000. 2. In our coming lessons, we will be looking at base 10 blocks, and base 10 blocks are used to represent numbers. And in the picture there, we have a flat, rods, and units. We are not going to purchase our base 10 blocks. We're just going to create some out of paper and use them temporarily. You can always borrow a small set from any elementary teacher that you happen to know. Okay, so let's go to our notebook and let's go ahead and write this down. Okay, so let's look at our base 10 blocks. Did we write that down earlier? No, we drew some base 10 blocks, but we didn't actually write down the terms. So base 10 blocks. We have a flat. Now this flat is a 10 by 10. If you can see it here. It has 100 little squares. It's 10 by 10. So this is a flat, and it is 10 by 10 or 100 little squares. Now I'm not really going to count, I'm just doing a little figure there. Next we have a rod. Now this rod has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it is 10 by 1, and it represents our tens. Notice the difference between these two. The green is a foam, It's supposed to be quiet. You can kind of pinch your fingernails through it. This is a hard plastic, and a lot of people don't like it because they are a little bit noisy if you start. Well, these are quiet. So these are quieter. These are the newer version, and then they have these plastic ones. I like the plastic ones because you don't want to. I can just see the kids sitting there and just poking their fingernails in the foam. So we have foam or plastic. And then we have our unit. And again, the color doesn't matter. It's just a unit. And it is a 1 by 1. Flat rod unit. And the one that I do not have is my cube, which represents thousands. Too big to carry around. Okay. So let's look at a very quick example. Let me throw some on here and let's see what number does this represent. And I'm just going to randomly pick some. I'm not going to worry about color. If you notice, I have different colors just as I buy them. Okay. Now, when you're looking at base 10 blocks, they could be all over the place. Because remember, the shape determines its value. When I look at this large piece, I know it's a flat. And then I see these thinner ones. But we should really mimic our place value chart. So we're going to tell our students, you know what? Let's go ahead and arrange our flats on the left, our rods, and our units. So this would be 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52, 53. So this represents 153. Okay. Let's just go ahead and draw one to have in our notes. I think I'll go to the next page. Let's draw the number 364. And we are actually going to print out a base 10 chart later in our next lesson. So if I have 364, it's going to be 3 flats, 6 rods, and you can draw them as lines. Or if you want to actually do the thin rectangle, kind of a little bit more work. 2, 3, 4. And then the 4 little units. Okay. Let's go ahead and do a practice problem. Let's go ahead and write the number 347 using the following formats. Okay. Let's begin with standard form. We said standard form is 347. Word form is spelled out 347. Make sure you have a hyphen, and notice how we spell 40 with the O. We have a place value chart. We have ones, tens, and hundreds. Okay. We have expanded form. Which is arithmetic, 300 plus 40 plus 7. Multiplicative, in which we are multiplying. Times 4 times 10 plus 7 times 1. Now we have expanded form using exponents, which we can call exponential form. or expanded form using exponents. So let's look at our place value chart again. So here's my 347, and our exponents starting on the ones column on the right. I have 10 to the 0 power, 10 to the first power, 10 to the second power. Combine these two together, it is going to be 3 times 10 to the second power plus 4 times 10 to the first power plus 7 times 1. Remember that in elementary we use a 1 instead of 10 to the 0 power. Then, using base 10 blocks, we are going to have 3 flats, 4 rods, and 7 units. The flat is a square. I'm going to draw the rods as a line or a thin rectangle, and then my 7 units. 2, 3. Standard form, word form, place value chart. Remember to put your page number on the top of the pages, and don't forget to include the date that you completed this page. Let's go ahead and work on our reflection for today. So let's go to our notebook. Let's go ahead and grab our notebook. Let's turn it upside down to the back, and let's find the next available page. We're going to skip one line. Ignore what's here. You're going to skip a line and continue going. Skip a line and continue going. So let's look at today's. Go ahead and write today's date. Okay, so today we worked on the Hindu-Arabic numeration system. We went over the properties and definitions of the Hindu, isn't that weird? Hindu-Arabic numeration system. We also did a quick introduction to base 10 blocks. Should we write that down? We also saw a quick introduction to base 10 blocks. So go ahead and tell me, I think, I learned, I saw. I think that the term Hindu-Arabic numeration system is weird. Isn't that funny? No one ever says that. Okay, class, today we're going to study. No, you just say, let's talk math, right? These are just numbers. And another thing that I thought was weird is the difference between numeral. When was the last time you ever said the word numeral or number? We don't even pay attention. So as you're reading your textbook or your lesson plans, you're going to start seeing those terms and go, oh, but it's something that we just don't even pay attention to. So I think that the word numeral, is very interesting. I don't remember that. So these are the type of things that you can write down as your reflection. What was the weirdest word that we went over today? Was it Hindu-Arabic numeration system? It's so long, right? Did you remember about the base 10 system, that word? Did you remember the difference between number and numeral, or even the term digit? So go ahead and write down a quick sentence or two of some of a definition or a term or something that surprised you. Did all of these lessons, vocabulary words, surprise you? And then you should put that in your reflection. Okay, I hope this lesson has helped.